I used to think that in order to have an independent practice, the first thing that you needed to have is a medical degree.
Yeah.
And then you could have an independent practice. Now it seems like any MBA suit can become private equity and buy a practice. How is that right? Because there's regulation to prevent that.
I think, thank you, Dr. Wu. This is a great point. The reason is that skill, that sophisticated financial skill is extremely valuable now, but was not valuable then, right? Before, the environment really does not require sophisticated financial skill for independent practice to survive. But because things are pretty simple, straightforward. But now things are getting more and more complicated. So the financial skill becomes much more valuable on today's market. That's why they got the niche and take advantage of it.
Yeah, a lot of the hospitals and corporations and things, they have in the leadership, they're no longer physicians, it's just suits.
Right.
Tell physicians what to do. The worst thing that you can do as a leader is tell a physician what to do. You will get an automatic no, regardless if it's the right answer or the wrong answer. I'm seeing a lot of physicians that have lots of years of experience. They went on and they did MBAs, and then they go into a leadership role. And those people seem to be a little bit more successful. But when it's just, I remember when we were dealing with, we had this program called Disrupts in New York a couple of years ago. And I would have this MBA suit that used to come to me, and I would have to report to him some quality metrics, give him basically some silly Excel files that he could upload. I used to give him a hard time just for sport. I would always do what they needed, but until he got it, I really tortured the guy. And I felt bad sometimes. But if it was a physician, if it was Dr. Herb MBA, I would have given it to him immediately.
Yeah. But
That's
guys,
bad. That's bad.
So I wonder, do you think that these were unintended consequences by the politicians and policymakers, say the Obama-Biden administration, when they built the ACA, or was this what they had in mind? Such a burdensome regulatory environment that everybody would end up working for the government at one point?
I think it's probably both. If, let's say, on the extreme side, let's say if there's such a bad intention, they want to control everyone. If that's the case, then it's much harder to control if everybody's independent, right? It's much easier to control if everybody is somehow incorporated into select the number of corporations and becoming employees. So that's much easier. But I think there's also unintended part. This is really not, it's not a partisan issue. I see a lot of politicians on the right also support anti-competitive and hostile policies against physician practices. In their mind, I think they don't really look at the root causes. They're looking at, I would say, very temporary, short-term focused solutions. And then that just, as if you have a small thing, you patch another band-aid, right? And then it does not work, you patch another band-aid. So you make this system more and more complex. Think about just Medicare payment. How many different revenue streams can a hospital get? Or a physician practice can potentially get? Because you guys are physicians, then you don't really know the nitty-gritty details and all the back doors to maneuver, to exploit the system. That's why you don't get into leadership position, right? But let's say I'm an MBA, I'm not a physician. However, I'm very much expert on Medicare payment system or Medicaid payment system. And I know all the loopholes. And I know all the people, the right people. So I can bring a lot of money unrelated to patient care to the hospital, to the practice. Guess what? Then I will be in the leadership position. So I think there's both, unintended and intended ideas. But also think about all the regulations and state and regulations and legislations. Who's backing them? Who's trying to push them, right? Always large interest groups. So why would they spend their money and energy to push those bills? There must be some good result in return, right? So in most cases, the return is a much more friendly market post-passage or post-implementation of the regulation. So what would be the favorable outcome if you are running a business, right? Would be remove competitions and give me a free run to capture the market.
So it becomes a monopoly. I thought
That's
monopoly.
the intention. That's why I
Right.
pushed
That's
the
what they want.
bill.
That's what they want. They want to have monopoly power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I thought monopolies are illegal. Didn't they try to take down what's his name from Windows, Bill Gates, because they thought he had a monopoly on the software business?
It's
Well,
like anything else. It could be illegal as long as the government does not prosecute it, you can get away with it. And the federal regulators took the perspective during the Obama administration that they were not going to use, they had an old rule for healthcare mergers that if you had more than 30% of the local market, they would fight you to not allow you to merge.